When you are writing automation code, one thing that is something you will absolutely run into is errors and exceptions. There's really no way around it. So with Python, if an error occurs, it's likely that your program is going to exit. And there's sometimes you don't really want that to happen. If you have a loop of like 1,000 hosts and you're going through and there's one host that you can't connect into, do you want it to stop? Like, let's say that is host number 810 out of 1,000. So you still have quite a few left. Do you really want this code to stop right there and exit out? No, not at all. You want to be able to capture that something happened and you couldn't connect to said host, and you want it to continue and move on to the other ones. So that's where the try and except statements come in when you're dealing with Python. So in this video, we're going to make another really quick little file, and we're going to run that. And what this file is going to do is it's going to attempt, or what this program is going to do is attempt to open 3 files. 2 of the files are going to exist, and the one in the middle will not. But we want it to try to open the 3rd file anyways without exiting out. So let's get started. Go ahead and open up a notepad, or not notepad, but your text editor program again, and put your line up at the top again, which references Python 3. And I've just put some notes in here of what the goal is. We're going to iterate through a list of file names, going to attempt to open each file, and if an error occurs, let's capture it. Okay, go ahead and get that set up, and when you're ready, come right back to the video. All right, you ready? You're good now? Perfect. Let's first just define a list named file_names. And let's name these as /temp/myfile1. Let's do /temp/myfile2.txt. Let's actually add these as .txt just for fun. And then let's do myfile3. /temp/myfile3.txt. All right. Well, now let's make these files so that they actually exist. So switch over or set up your desktop so you're set up like mine in this one. So you've got your terminal down at the bottom. And let's do this. Let's do touch/tmp/myfile1.txt. myfile, repeat it again with the up arrow, do myfile3. Okay, and then just to make sure I don't have that, because I may have added that already, I'm going to make sure I don't have myfile2, which I did, which I don't want that. So I've removed that. If you've set this up brand new, you should not have that file. So if you do a ls/temp, I've got file1, file3, and then one named myfile. Okay, fair enough. So we're going to loop through these and attempt to open them. So let's start with this. So for f in file names, 1, 2, 3, 4, open f. Okay, fair enough. Let's save this. Just over here on the desktop again, and let's name this one try block.py. Try block.py. Okay, cool. Save it there. Now, if we try to execute that, let's do Python 3 and then try block.py. Okay. Well, clearly, it couldn't find that file, which we're expecting. But did it really process on and try to open up file 3? That I'm not for sure on. So let's print this here. Print done. Outside of your loop. Save it. Execute it again. So it exited out before it got down to that line that says done. Okay? So what we want to do is we want to put a try and except statement in here. That way, whenever you have some piece of critical code or you're trying to connect into a host and say host isn't reachable, it will attempt it, but if there's an error, it's just going to move on and continue. Okay? So we want to make a new line between your open and for line, And we're going to indent 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to do try. Then we're going to go down to the next line, and we're going to indent this guy 4 more times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Try, open that. New line, except. There are a couple of different types of exceptions that you can use, but for simplicity right now, we're only going to do the basic. Except of exception as E. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Print E. Okay? Enter it in like that. So, in theory, we're going to try to open up each of these, and if an error occurs, it's going to print the exception as E, and there we go. And let's see if it actually completes for us. Save it, and run it. That time it did. That time we got all the way through, and it only said, no such file or directory /temp/myfile2, and then we got to done. Cool. Pretty simple there if we want to run it like that. Now, let's say we want to do this a little bit differently. Let's say we want a errors list, okay? And instead of printing, let's say we want to just append this error. So let's do errors.append and E. And we want to do a print of E. And let me just add another blank line. Save it. Run it. Errors.append E. Except exception as E. Errors.append. Oh, sorry. I wanted to do actually print errors. My bad. Okay. That actually looks a little bit different when we appended it like that. Why did it look differently? Well, in this case, what we appended was the file not found error. So if we want to look at this a little bit further, let's look at type. Add type around there. Actually, we should only have one, right? Let's just do print errors 0, and let's first run a type on it. Let's see what this looks like. Okay. Class, file not found error. Okay, so if it's a class, then there's going to be some other methods that are within there. So if we change that to a dir, run it, now we've got some other data in there. We could also run this as, say, like error0.filename or error number. Let's just take a look and see what those look like. So let's get rid of our dir statement. error0.errno. Okay. It's 2. Do you remember seeing 2 when we were if we scroll up a little bit? File not found. 2. Okay, fair enough. It's error number type 2. But what if we want to see the actual name of the file? Okay, file name. Change it to that, save it, execute it, and there we go. So now if we're even running this just as a regular run-of-the-mill general exception, we can easily append into, we've already appended the error into our errors list, but now we can look at it very simply of what the errors actually are. Now there are some other things you could do exceptions on. As you saw, we had that listed as a, what was the name of it there? It was a file not found error. So we could change this up a little bit. We do file not found error. We could do it as that. And we could say print file not found. And we could also keep our original block except as exception as E. And we'll just do a print E. Okay. Let's go ahead and comment out these lines for now. And if we run this again, except, my mistake, except exception as E. Okay, run it. file not found. So in this event, we specified the type of exception that we're looking for. In this case, we already knew it was a file not found error. So we could really just print it right here if we wanted to, and we could catch only that. If all we cared about was a file not found error because we're working with files, then that's fine. We could leave it just like that, and the file isn't found. And if we delete that line, save it, we should still finish up with our block of code. We know a file wasn't found. That's fine. We could, though, print the file name, format, F, save it, run it. File not found of temp myfile2.txt. Okay? So it's very important that you do add try and except statements into your code. If you know the type of exception that you may run into based upon the kind of work that you're doing. For example, if you're trying to open a file, you can use file not found error. If you're trying to connect into something, you may have a different kind of error. If you just want to catch everything that's general, you can just do it as exception like we initially did. What that will allow you to do is proceed on in the event that an exception was handled. That way you don't get 810 records through something and then you have to start the code all the way over just because you had one little error that popped up where it couldn't process or couldn't connect to one device. So go ahead and play around a little bit more with try and except blocks, and I'll put a link in this section to a Python KB article where you can learn a little bit more about the different types of exceptions. To be honest, I typically use file not found and the general exception. If I was writing something that was going to be really built as like a daemon and I wanted to capture different kinds of errors or exceptions, and if I wanted to log something based upon certain criteria, then I would probably add it out and specify it a bit more. But for the type of code that I'm usually writing, it's usually fine to capture it just as a general exception. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you on in the next section.